e-commerce website? Well, in the next few minutes, I'm going to teach you the 3 places to look in Google Analytics for the most important information about your e-commerce website performance. My name is Elise, and I'm an e-commerce strategist and published author that has helped hundreds of e-commerce shop owners get inside their customer's mind to save more time, make more money, and develop more confidence in their online sales strategies. And in this video, I'm going to help you find the most important Google Analytics data to know about your e-commerce website. So before we jump into that, I've got a quick question for you. Have you ever looked at your Google Analytics data for your e-com website? Why or why not? Leave a comment and let me know. So let's jump right into the lesson. We are going to be looking at Google Analytics, and there should be a link right in the description that tells you how to get to your Google Analytics data. All right, so the very first place we're going to look, so this is place number 1, is you're going to come into your Google Analytics. You're going to go to Conversions, E-commerce Overview. Then we're going to look at this box right here, this section right here, and we want to look at our revenue, our transactions, our purchase conversion rate, and our average order value. These are incredibly important numbers. The average e-commerce store should have a purchase conversion rate of 1 to 2%. And knowing your average order value can give you something to strive to improve. So for example, if your average order value is $20, then you can make a goal to try and improve that average order value, add some upsells in your cart, change the way your product pages look, add additional things on your product pages to try and get people to buy more items. And by increasing your average order value, you can have the same number of transactions, but increase your revenue. Alternatively, you can try and get more transactions. And if you get more transactions at the same average order value, it will also increase your revenue. So these numbers are incredibly important. You should always know what your conversion rate is, because that means that you need to get X number of people to your site in order to get a sale. So if you have a 1% conversion rate, that means you have to get 100 people to your website to get 1 sale. If you have a 2% conversion rate, that means you have to get 50 people to your website to get 1 sale. And so that's why this e-commerce conversion rate is incredibly important. All right, so we're going to go to number 2. We're going to go to Audience Overview. And here on this page, we are going to be looking at this section right here again. All right, so the first thing you want to know is you want to know your total users. So here we've got 58. New users is 50. So that means 8 of these users were returning. And then you get your percentages over here, 82% new, 18% returning. And then you want to look at your pages per session. And this is incredibly important because this kind of gives you a ballpark idea of how many pages you have to convince someone to actually purchase something. So if your pages per session is 1 to 2, which is pretty average for e-commerce, that means you only have 1 or 2 pages to get someone to be interested in purchasing, which is something that you need to know, because that means you need to use as few clicks as possible. Every single page on your website needs to be taking someone to the next thing. You need to be convincing them on every single page what the next thing is that they should do. We're also going to look at our average session duration. This tells you how long you have to convince them. So if your average session duration is 1 minute, that means you only have 1 minute to convince these people to be interested enough to buy something from you, or at a minimum to get them to at least recognize your brand so the next time you talk to them or show them your website, they might be willing to buy. So average session duration is also incredibly important. Then finally, I want to talk about bounce rate. Your bounce rate is what tells you what percentage of your audience only looks at 1 page. So for most e-commerce shops that I look at, you want your bounce rate to be 30%, 40%. But a lot of the shops that I've evaluated with my website analytics call, I noticed that they're more like 50 or 60%. That means 50% of your audience is coming to your website, looking at 1 page, and then leaving. If you know that you have a bounce rate that's 50%, that means half the people will only look at 1 page. Again, this reiterates the fact that you need to convince them to do the next step on every single page of your website. All right, so we're going to go to number 3. The third thing we want to look at is we want to come to acquisition, all traffic, source medium. And this is going to be where we're going to be able to see where your traffic is coming from. And if you have your analytics data connected properly to your website, you will also be able to see your conversion rate from each traffic source. So when you come here, keep in mind you will have multiples for certain places. You can see I've got 2 Facebooks, actually 3 Facebooks. I've got 2 Instagrams, and this has to do with where they're coming from. If there is an M in front of the web address, that means it is a mobile version. L for Facebook usually means light, but that is not always the case. Basically, you're looking at mobile and desktop. This one is also desktop. So you have to kind of combine these in your mind to say how much traffic you're getting from each source. So 2 things. You want to look at how much traffic you're getting. So that's the number of users, new users, and sessions. So users is how many people looked at it. So 20 people came direct to my site. 27 sessions. So that means these 20 people looked at my site more than one time. So that could be one person looked at it 7 times, or that could be, 3 people each looked at it 2 times to get the difference here. But they've been to my site 27 times, but that was only 20 people. They've been to my site 16 times, but that was 15 people. And so that's what these numbers look like. So whichever social media platform is sending the most traffic is something that's very important to know. However, if you go down this row and you see that your conversion rate is 0, more traffic, if it never converts, is not necessarily a good traffic source. So you want to be looking at where do you get the best conversion, but then also where do you get the most traffic? Because getting someone to your website is important. And if you can get them to sign up to your email list while they're there, even if they're not making a purchase, that's still a good lead. But a lot of times people don't realize, maybe one specific traffic source is giving them most of their conversions and they're not spending much time on it. So this can be a really good way to indicate where you should be spending the most time. If you know, for example, Pinterest has a 0.001% conversion rate and Facebook has a 3% conversion rate, you should be spending more time on Facebook at a minimum just to test and see if that conversion rate holds. Especially if you have low traffic, it can be hard to really see this. So you may want to go and change your dates to be for 6 months or something. So this current one I have is for a week. My recommendation is to look at your analytics data every single week, making sure that you're doing a full week. But if you don't want to look at it every week, that's okay. Start doing it by a month. And if you have really low traffic, you can even consider doing it by 3 months. But you need to be looking at this data so you know. It tells you what your next steps are. It tells you what you're doing well, what you're not doing well. It helps you plan and see if your plan works. So that is all that I have for Google Analytics. When you start checking these numbers each week, or at a minimum each month or every 3 months, you'll be able to see exactly how your website is doing and be able to determine your next steps. So just a reminder, the 3 things that we looked at were conversions, e-commerce, overview, and then we also looked at audience, overview, and then we also looked at acquisition, acquisition, all traffic, source medium. So those are the 3 places you want to look to get that analytics data. My name is Elise Nelson, and I'm an e-commerce strategist and published author that has helped hundreds of e-commerce shop owners get inside their customer's mind to save more time, make more money, and develop more confidence in their online sales strategies. Today's quick question was, have you ever looked at the Google Analytics data for your e-com website? Why or why not? Leave a comment and let me know. Do you want more help with your e-commerce brand? Subscribe and sign up for notifications on my YouTube channel, where I offer lessons that are 7 minutes or less to help you grow your e-commerce shop. In the next Thinking Thursday video, I'll be going over the one thing you need to be sure to switch on in Google Analytics so that you can collect sales data from your website. All right, guys, that's it for today. I will see you next time. Bye.